Hi everyone, welcome to Creator Tech Connect series. Just to confirm, if the screen is visible and my sound is it audible to everyone, I'm trying to make some transitions on the screen. Please do confirm it in the chat. That will be very helpful. Great, great. Okay, so we'll wait for a couple of minutes, like 2 to 3 more minutes, and then we'll start within next 2 to 3 minutes by 9:05 p.m. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So I welcome you all to Creator Tech Connect series. A warm welcome to everyone. So let's start with the session. Hi everyone, once again, just to confirm for the new participants who just joined right now, is the screen visible and my voice, is it audible to everyone? If that's a yes, please use some reactions over there. That'll be pretty helpful. Or put it in the chat, that can be helpful as well. Oh, thanks everyone for the confirmation. Great. Thank you. So let's start with the session. So for the new people or the new participants who have recently started joining to the Tech Connect series, let me or allow me to brief you about what exactly this Tech Connect is. So Tech Connect is a series. It's a month-on-month training meet where we used to conduct the training to enhance the technical knowledge of all our users. Basically, Creators Tech Connect series will comprise of pure technical sessions in which we'll delve deep into key essentials and the technical aspects while building a solution in Zoho Creator. So that is what the basic understanding towards this session is all about. So before we get started, allow me to share few more key points over here. So all the attendees will be on mute. So in case if you have any questions, we would request you to please post your questions in the questions tab. And by the end of the session, once the recording is been done, we will be sharing the recording to all the registrants and all the attendees. And we would also request you to please do participate in the polls and the surveys during and after our session. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the agenda of the session. So the agenda of the session, we are going to talk about the introduction part. What all things are we going to cover over here? Then we are going to discuss about recent product releases. After that, after every demonstration or after every explanation, we'll go with a small demonstration of what we have talked about. We'll give it an example, we'll try to demonstrate it for you, and we'll also discuss what all things are planned for the rest of the year. So without wasting the time, let's start our session. So this session is going to be all about Zoho Creator released updates in line with the product map that we have fabricated for the year 2023. So talking about what all things are going to be there. So, Creators Release Update 2023 comprises of the constant updates to the product that elevates the platforms for the overall performance and the functionalities for Zoho Creator. So we have planned to cover every option that those are recently being provided by Zoho Creator with a live demonstration, which will help us or which will help all the business type to build powerful and custom made applications. We'll also be walking you through the product release that we'll be rolling out, and additionally there'll be a discussion on to the brief planning for the rest of the year. So the overall session would comprise of new feature releases, enhancements to existing or the functions or the functionalities, or I would say the features, along with the bug fixes and mobile updates, etc. All right, so let's start with the session. So here are the recent product release on which we are going to have this session on. These are the topics that we are going to cover for today. So we'll start with the first option, or the first topic over here is augmenting subform capabilities. Then we'll talk about enhancement to portal, basically the customer portal. Then we'll be discussing about importing the reports using the permalink. After that, we'll also talk about dynamically embedding the components in the pages. And last but not the least, we'll also cover the AI model assistance, which has recently been introduced to create an application from the files itself. Right. So let's start with the first topic over here, which is augmenting the subform capabilities. Now, the augmenting subform capabilities, this is introduced to enhance the user experience of Zoho Creator. Along with that, we have also included new capabilities for solving the challenges. That's like subform list, pop-up view, custom sorting, deluge task for the row level actions. So let me explain it in a bit for you. So let's assume there's a form collecting warehouse, like we do have the name, location, stock inventory. For collecting all these inventory, we actually need to have a subform for these all fields. Similarly, let's take our example of a library management application. We do have books ID, author name, title, publisher. We can also talk about price range, categories, the different type of the books that can be published, what all books have been published within that specific year. In order to manage that, I cannot incorporate every single fields over there in just one form. Instead of that, I do have an option to use the second option, which is called as the subform. So the default view which we had been using so far was the scrolling, wherein the moment I tried to use the subform, I have to scroll onto the right side, which is pretty much useful for everyone so far who has been using Zoho Creator. But there were requests from other attendees and other participants and other users that instead of just going with this horizontal view, how about we can go for a different view altogether? That is through a list view. Now to achieve this, we make use of new list options, which is under the subform, where we do have the field properties, where you can view and you can change the different type of it. Right. So I'll just show it to you how the same can be done. First, we'll go through the presentation over here. So these are the subform list on the pop-up view. The subform fields can be viewed in two different ways. The first one over here is the list view, and the second one over here is the grid view, right? So let me show it to you how. So previously what we had is, this was the grid view where I can drag it to the right side and I can add all the options, which was again one of the most anticipated feature. So right now this list view is also available, so now the users can make use of both the views to make the changes in the fields which are available in Zoho Creator while adding a subform over there, right? So let me take you to a small demonstration of what I'm just explaining over here. I'll take you to the application first. Allow me to explain you the application first, and along with that, we'll talk about this feature, right? So this is Zilker order management application that we are trying to use over here. Now we do have purchase order. Under that, we do have new order and order report. So this is nothing but a report which has been created, and all order details is there with the part of order details. So this is the form which I'm using, which has got the serial number, product name, categories like for office use or for home use. For the collection type, we have incorporated the interior and the exterior option, then quality, retail price, unit price, and automatically I've added a formula over there to calculate the subtotal, right? So this is what I'm trying to use. This form is going to be added over there under the new order. I'll get into the edit mode of this application and I'll just show it to you how it is going to look like. So I have added two things over here. I'll click on done and I'll access this application in a new tab to see the changes that we are going to make, right? So this is my form builder. Under the form builder, I do have the items. Now this items is nothing but the same subform which I have tried to use from the second option, which is order details, which I've added over here. So from the order details, this subform has been added. Not just that, I have also tried to use another subform because I want to show it to you, both the blank subform as well as the existing subform. We can make use of these two changes in both the subform as the way we want to see and as the way we have shown in the presentation, right? So let's try to do that. This is my line. This is my items over here. Onto the right, I'll just zoom it a bit. I'll show it to you. The view type. This is where I can change the view type. Right now what will happen is, when I click on add new, I can just put a serial number. I can put the name of the product. Let's say I'll go with washing machine. So let me just type it over there. All right, so let's go with washing machine. We can select the category. Let's say this is for my home use. The collection type is probably it's interior. I'm going to put the quantity as, let's say, 3, and I'll put a retail price over there, let's say for 6,000. Then I'll put a unit price over there. For the same price, I'm going to sell it, and automatically onto the right side, my subtotal is getting calculated, right? So I have to scroll a bit right to go ahead and see the rest of the things. It's pretty easy to make use of it, but at the same time, I want to change the user experience. So for that, we have introduced the second option, which is called as the list view over here. So I'll just click on the list view, and that is, now I'm going to minimize it. The moment I click on list view, automatically I should have got the option over here, which is saved. And now I'll try to refresh the page. Once I try to refresh the page, now what will happen over here is, the list view, whatever we are trying to view over there, will convert, or the grid view will convert itself into the list view, which is going to look similar to our list report, like the same way we do have our list reports in a table like structure format without the inline input. So when you try adding or updating the data in each row, a pop-up will be displayed listing out the fields with the vertical scrolling, thereby ensuring a vast superior experience. Like it also helps to load the subform very quickly while editing the records by reducing the load time. And not just that, this list view type is also being extended to our mobile applications as well. So when it's been enabled, the subform will be opened in the next screen while the users can add the data, and the data can be added in the subform row. Now let me just show it to you. The moment I click on add new, automatically my list view will come into the picture. I can now add the serial number, product name, and everything, the same options, but a bit of a different user interface. Because all just that matter right now is, no matter how good the applications are, the moment it's the user interface is going to be changed, the people will start liking the application because it will be very easy and user friendly to use. So in order to make everybody happy, we try to incorporate both the options which is now possible. You can go with either the grid view, or even that, if you want, you can still go with the list view as well, right? So this is the first thing that we wanted to show it to you. Coming back to the presentation over here, we do have the subform list and the pop-up view. Now what is this? This is all about the custom sorting. Now why just to go ahead and change the or make the changes into the list view? We also want to go ahead and make the changes within the list view itself, or within the grid view itself. I can drag and drop these options. Now how come this becomes very handy, and what kind of situation I can use to understand? Let's consider a task manager working on a to-do list form, right? So to plan the different activities for current project and all, for this they may have been collecting the project details, date and time, milestones, and all these examples, and a subform for maintaining the to-do list with the following fields: task name, description, category, status, delivery. So all these things becomes important. While doing that, I do have all these options which are available over here. Now basis the priority which is there onto the right side, I can go ahead and make the changes. And now with the custom sorting, all they have to do is just simply reorder the row sequence, both while adding and editing the record. It's like simply drag and drop them in the required position. I'll just show it to you how the same can be done. Let me get into the demonstration of what we just discussed right now. Let me go back to the application. I'll simply make the changes it back to the grid view, and then there's a sorting option which is available onto the bottom right corner just below the view type. All I have to do is just enable this sorting. Now the sorting, previously it was available basis the field. Now when I talk about basis the field, I have an option to choose the field. I do have the serial number or any other options like unit price, retail price, category, quantity. These are so many options which were available. However, we just had to go with the one of the option which was ascending or descending order. But as I said, this was again working fine, pretty easy to use. But again, in order to enhance the user experience, we came up with another option. How about giving the option to drag and drop these fields within these subforms as well? So all I have to do is go to the custom option. Now once this is onto the custom option, and I'll simply click on done, I'll go back and refresh the page once again. So what will happen is, let's say I have added multiple options over here. So I do have a serial number, product name, category. Let's say I have added multiple options. Now in order to change the priority, let's say one of the tasks is being completed right now, I want to perform another task, but there is a priority level that I'm going to set. Basis my priority, I'm going to change all these options. Now how I'm going to do that? I'll go ahead and drag and drop this very simply. So this is, as I said, it's very user friendly. You can simply drag and drop, make these changes, and the sorting becomes very easy to use, right? So this is the another thing as a release update feature that I wanted to share. Coming back to the presentation over here, let me move on to the next topic, which is deluge task for a row level actions. Now, deluge task for row level actions, we do have enable or disable subform deluge task like syntax. This is the syntax that we're going to use: enable row dot subform field or disable row dot subform field. How did this came into the picture? So you can use the combination of multiple workflows, deluge scripts to help your subforms handle the complex business logic. By keeping that in mind, we formulated the idea to bringing in the actions that can help you to control at a row level subforms as well. In the past, you may have come across business scenarios which require you to hide and show, which is again one of the most anticipated feature. After the request, our product team actually worked upon it, and now this option is also available in the form of subform fields. So we do have syntax: enable row dot subform field. This is the syntax. Similarly for disable row dot subform field. This can be done, or this can happen on an addition of a row, on a deletion of a row, or even a user input of a subform field. Note, as I said, the deluge task can be used both in list view as well as the grid view as well. So this is another important thing that we should note while making these changes. And apart from that, I'd like to show you the sample code snippet, how to make use of it. Now take an example over here. I'll try to demonstrate as well, but we'll just try to understand it by looking on to the expressions and the codings, which is the code snippet. So if payment detail wherein my payment method is equals to card, then I need to enable a credit card number and disable the bank account number, of course, because I'm going to use the card. When I'm going to use the card field, I don't want my bank account number field to be enabled over there. How about I simply get it disabled by using the if and the else functions? We can make it done now with specifically in the cases of subforms as well. So if the payment detail methods is equals to net banking, then I need to enable this time the bank account number and simply disable the credit card number, right? So this is the deluge task for row level action. Not just enable and disable, we also want to make use of hiding the rows or showing the rows on addition of a row, on deletion of a row, or on a user input of a subform field. Again, these deluge tasks can be used both in the list and the grid type subforms. And this is the code snippet for the same, where you can hide the row and you can even show the row as per the need. Now let me just show it to you how the same can be done. Now this is the um, snippet where we are trying to showcase how the same can be done while disabling the field on choosing the card. The moment I'm choosing the card over here, automatically, as you can see, my bank account number, this specific field is getting deactivated, or I would say it is being disabled, right? So I can disable or enable the subform field, and I can even hide and show the subform field. Now let's get into a small demonstration of how the same can be done so that it will be easy for us to understand. Now for that, I'll just explain you one of the feature over here, one of the options over here. So we do have the shipping details. To capture the shipping details of the customer, we have got the name, email address, phone number, and then we do have the delivery type. So we do have a store pickup, as well as we do also have a home delivery. Now, as you can see over here, if somebody is going to store, then this address field should not be enabled to them. Either it should be disabled or it should be hidden, right? So all I have to do is, making use of this delivery type, I'll create a workflow. I'll put a condition over there that if it is equals to store pickup on a user input of a field, automatically my address field should be hidden or the address field should be disabled, right? So let's try to do the same over here. Of course, we all know how to do that. We'll get into the workflows. Under the workflows, I do have an option to go with a new workflow. Then I can choose the form. I can choose the new order form. I'll simply click on new order. Then I have an option, run when the record is created or edited. So I'll choose the option, let's say created or edited. And then I do have an option when to run the specific workflow, right? So how to get it done? I'll say I'll be doing it on a user input of a field. As usual, I do have the same options available before the form submission, on the form submission, or after the form submission. Right now we are going to use this option in before the form submission and specifically on a user input of a field, right? So we'll choose the field. So which field we are trying to make use of? We are trying to make use of the I'll change the form to new order, and over here, yeah, on a user input of a field, then I'll choose my shipping details, wherein I'm going to choose the delivery type. The moment I'm going to choose delivery type, then I can simply, let's say I'll start with the disable one, then we'll try to go ahead and hide it. So let's say I'll go with disable. I'll just type and name it as disable, and I can simply click on create the workflow. Automatically I'll get into the option to create the workflow, where I can add a new order, wherein a new action can be associated with it. The moment I'm going to click on add a new action, it is going to open my deluge editor, right? So I'll just click on it right now, and here is my deluge editor that will come into the picture. Now onto the left side, I do have all the conditions. So we do have if, else, and conditional if, all these conditions which are already available. So all I have to do is I just have to go ahead and make use of all these deluge statements, right? So I'll just try to disable the row, and we'll see how the same can be done. So I'll say if, and then I do have the variable Now onto the right side, I'll just minimize it a bit. Onto the right side, I do have an option which says refer the fields, right? So I can simply click on refer the fields. My syntax assist is also on. Now I can refer the field at any point of time. And if I don't remember the name of the variable, all I have to do is simply select it from here. Right, let's say in this case, when I'm going to put the variable name, I'll simply go ahead and choose the delivery type. So my shipping details dot delivery type has been added. Now the variable has been added over there. Now the operator, for the operator, I'm going to choose equals to, and then I need to choose the expression. Now what expression I'm going to choose over here? If it is equals to store delivery, then my address field should be hidden, right? So the expression will be, it will be equal to my store pickup. So I'll just simply click over here, come back and just type as store pickup. Just make sure that there should not be any kind of a typo error, and over here please do ensure that the case sensitivity also matters a lot. So please do make sure these errors should not be there. Then you get onto the next line and you now go ahead and use those options. Let's say disable. Now I'm going to disable a specific field. So which specific field? I'll say row dot. Now I do have the address field, so I can just type address over here and my address field will be disabled. But at the same time, I want to add one more thing, right? What's the another thing? If I'm going to choose it as home delivery, it should be enabled as well. Now for that, I'm going to use my else if statements. So I'm going to add else if. I'll say shipping details dot delivery type, it should be equals to, now this time I'm going to add it as home delivery, and I'm going to this time enable row dot my address fields. Right, now this is ready to be saved. Both the termination of the sentences have been done using the semicolons. Then I'm simply going to click on save. Now the moment I'm going to click on save, this has been added over here. Let's try to test it. In order to test that, the thing what we're going to do is we'll refresh the page. The moment I'm going to refresh the page over here, I have an option to add new. Now let's try to test it out. All right, so we do have the delivery type. We are going to choose the store pickup or home delivery. Right now my address field is enabled. The moment I'm going to choose the store pickup, automatically, as you can see, I cannot enter anything over here. My address field is now not enabled anymore. Right, so this is how I can enable or disable. In order to enable and disable, I can simply choose the home delivery. Now this time when I'm going to choose the home delivery, my address type of the address option is now this address field is enabled. Right, in the same way we can even try to hide the fields. So these fields are, again, remember, these fields are part of my sub form. This is not part of my direct forms or to my main form. These are part of my sub forms, and I'm trying to make these changes in my sub form itself. That's what the main feature which has been added over here. Now I'll simply close it. I'll simply say done. Now my workflow has been created. I'll try to disable this workflow because we need to go ahead and make use of another option, which is to show and hide the address field. Now for that, I'll simply click on new workflow and I'll go to the same form. I'll say created or edited. Now when to trigger the workflow? Of course, on my user input of a field, I'll choose the field again, the same. I'll go with my delivery type and I'm going to type it over there. This time hide the specific field. So this is the name of the workflow that I'm going to create. And all I have to do is associate this one with the action. Now I do have the options, which is my if condition. Either I can just drag and drop the if condition or simply just type if. Now automatically my if condition is going to give me the suggestion. So I'll simply make use of that. And I'll again refer the field. So this refer field is always going to be helpful. All I have to do is go to the shipping details for my delivery type. Oh, okay, I just made too many of them. I'll just close this and I'll just type this again. I can simply delete it as well, but just to demonstrate it, I'm going to do it again. So I'll say if my shipping details where my delivery type, it should be equals to, I would say, store pickup. Again, the same condition should be applied. So store pickup, it should this time not just disable. This time I'm trying to hide my specific field. So I'll say hide row dot Now, which field I'm trying to hide over here? That's my address field. So I can simply choose the address field, and I can then go back and choose the else if condition as well, because it should be enabled as well if I make use of the other option. So I'll say my shipping details dot delivery type is equals to, this time I'm going to choose it as home pickup, uh, home delivery, I'm sorry. And I'm going to add this as show row dot address, and then I'll have to terminate the sentences as well. So I'll just put a semicolon and on both the ends of those fields, and now I'll try to simply save. Now, the moment I save it, yes, this has been saved and I can see it is there at the back end. So I can simply close it. I can simply say done. To test that, yes, we are going to refresh the page once again. Now I'm going to refresh the page and let's see how the same can be incorporated. The things that we just made the changes, let's see. So if I'm going to choose store pickup, automatically my address field is not visible anymore, right? So if I choose the home delivery, now it has started showing up, right? So this is how I can make the changes to the address field, or I would say the delivery type, even when that is my sub form. So coming back to the presentation, let's go on to the next one, which is enhancement to the portal. Now, what the changes that we have done over here is, specifically when we talk about enhancement to the portals. So we tried to incorporate Apple's top notch privacy and identify or the identity protection mechanism into the portal, and it provides a hassle-free experience not just for all the Google users or the Facebook users. They can now also use Apple sign in ID or the Apple ID to sign into Zoho Creator. You'll be able to configure federated login to authenticate your portal users by using their Apple accounts, right? So let me just get back over here and I'll just show it to you, both of the things. The first one is federated login with the Apple ID. We have an option to sign in with the Apple ID, which is the iCloud IDs and all. And at the same time, we have also made the enhancement by adding the security feature, like enhancing the security of resetting the password by introducing the one time password, specifically when it comes to verification, which means while trying to reset the password, I do have now two options which are available. Either I can go with a password reset link, which is available over here, or I can go with the one time verification code. I can make use of any of these two things, and this will be available in my template, which is reset password template, right? So let's see how this can be done. I'll just get back to the presentation over here, and sorry, to the application, and within the application I'll get into the portal. So just give me a moment. Yeah, here is my portal option. I can choose any of the application or I can create a portal. Now, statement of use, I have read. I can select that and simply click on continue after reading the terms of usage. Then I have an option to make the changes over here. This time I'm trying to choose the application. So the name of the application is, this is the one that we are trying to make the changes for. And let's say this name will be like ZMOT123. And yeah, that's the name of the application that we are going to choose, and this is the domain that we are trying to put it over there. Then the rest of the options will remain same, like portal type, public, private, or restricted. I'm going to keep it as public right now. Default permission, I'm going to give it as customer. And then favicons, that is nothing but this icon which is there next to Zoho Creator. You can change these icons by using add a favicon over here and simply click on new. Once I click on new, my option to create a portal will be enabled, and my portal will be created under the name of ZMOT123, which is the name that I've given right now. I think it's just taking some time. I'll just try to refresh it once again, and let's see whether the changes that we are trying to do has been implemented or not. Let's just try to search it first. So I'll say Zilker. Okay, so that was not updated. So I'll try to do it again. I'll try to create a new user and I'll try to add them. So I'll just choose the application Zilker Order Management System, and I'll try to change the name over here. Let's say this is the name. and I'm going to choose the default permissions and I'm trying to click on new. Now this time this got added over there, right? So my application has now been added over there. Now let's try to get into the application. So I'll try to refresh the page once again and it should be visible over there. Just give me a moment. I'll say there Zilker. Okay, there it is, right? So now that has been added over here. Now I can get into the page customization and email notification. Now under the email notification, when I try to get into the reset password template, let me show it to you in the edit mode. There it is. So my reset password template has now the option to incorporate it with the one-time password. Alternatively, you can also go with the link. At times we might have seen that the password reset link might not be feasible for the other individual. For that I want to go with the one time verification code, or I want to give them both the options. Then I can go with this specific option, which is one time password, which is now also been added there with my security enhanced features of Zoho Created portal users, right? So I'll just close this right now and I'll just come back to the presentation. So the next thing is importing the reports using a permalink. Now to explain this, what exactly this feature is, I do have a URL now to format for importing the data users. Now you might be thinking like, wow, what this option is all about and why this option is there even when that option already exists, right? So this is the best part over here. Even though if the option already exists in my report, I still want to go ahead and use a specific link by incorporating this specific link to a button. So being a manager of the specific application, all I have to do is just click on the button. Automatically I'll have an option to collect the data by the end of the month and then import that by clicking on that button and making the changes to that button, right? So how this has been done, this specific link is something that we need to take care of. We do have the base URL which has been added over here with the account owner name, the application name, report link name, and at the last import word has been added over here, right? So I'll just show it to you how the same can be done. Let me simply go to any of the report. Let's say for this application itself, I have created a feedback form, and this feedback form has got a product type. The product type can be interior or exterior. The complaint can be based out of damaged products, or let's say they have not received a product so far, or a mismatched product, right? They can choose any of them. They can put a description what exactly that is all about, and received by that can be added, like whomsoever is trying to add that specific feedback. Now I'm trying to get into the reports. I can go ahead and just type it over here first. Let's say I'll go with the exterior. Let's say damaged product. I'll say that it was not working or something like that. So I can just simply type it over there, and received by, let's say I'm going to use a test user as test user 1, and simply click on submit. So I do have the office product complaint report. I can simply choose import data from here, but every time I want to import the data, I have to come back to the report and then click on import data. Now this time what I'll do is I'll go to my report. I'll just copy this link, and let's say I'll put it over here and try to make the changes. So we also do have the base URL already been added, my account owner name, the application name, and then the rest of the information was to make the changes to report. So I'll just remove this hashtag. I'll put report and I'll put a forward slash over here, and at the end I'll just try to say import. All right, now all I have to do is just try to open this link. Let's see and test whether the user interface for importing the data is showing up. Yes, my user import data is now been showing up from, I can use the link to make these changes. So all I have to do is I'll get into the edit mode of this application. I'll click on the plus icon and I'll open a page. I'll create a dashboard, and let's say this is to import data, and I'll simply click on create the page. Now, once I click on create the page, all I have to do is use a specific button. Let's say I'll be making use of this specific button, and I'll just mention it as import data. And this is for my office complaints. Right, and I need to associate this button with a specific action. So it should open a specific URL, and I'll try to add that URL. Now that URL has been added, it is showing me that it has been saved. I'll now close it and I'll simply click on done. Once that has been done, now the next thing that we'll do is we'll try to refresh the page and let's see our dashboard. So the dashboard that we tried to create was import data. Over here, this button has now been added. Now let's try to click on this button. Yes, it is taking me to the page where I can go to the local storage and I can go ahead and import any of the data, right? So I can simply add any data and simply make use of it. Let's say I already have one report. I'll try to add it over here. So I'll simply close it and I'll try to import it. Yes, so it will be added over there. So received by all the information, we'll try to access the report and we'll see, yes, that has been added, right? So this is how I can make the changes by using the permalink. I don't have to navigate to this import option every time. I have got this another feature thanks to the product team. Once again, I have this feature where I can go to the link, use that link over there to import the data, right? So coming back to the presentation over here. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is embedding the components to pages dynamically. Now, what this feature is all about, to understand this, we'll talk a bit about our feature, which is page parameters, right? So currently we have an option to embed the page parameters through the pop-ups. Let's say what exactly this feature is. When we talk about the parameters, they are the named values that are appended to a URL page in a query string. So this specific URL format allows the data to be retained on a browser refresh or specifically on reload of the page, thereby enabling you to see or set those dynamic values while loading a page. Now, this can be used, let's say I can append it to a query string into the link itself, and every time when I'm going to load the page, the specific data will be added, the dynamic set of values will be added, and automatically it will start showing on my web page. But what's different this time is when you want to load the creator component in a specific container on the same page, this time you can do it even without refreshing the page, right? So we do have got this ZC load in page parameter enabled you to open your creator application. So it can be either in a pop-up window or inside an embed container or specifically in a same window as well. This can be done. Now, interestingly, I'll give you a few more options. What do I need to do is just use this page parameter ZC loadin to dynamically embed the components, and it can show the dynamic real-time values specifically without having to refresh the entire page altogether, right? How the same can be done, we do have the open URL syntax. So this is the syntax which I'm going to use. I can open as, this is the syntax, I can open it as a pop-up, I can open it in the embed container, or even I can go with an iframe. So in a specific frame as well, it will give you the details. Syntax creation, this is how I'm going to create the syntax, this is how I'm going to use it in the URL, and this is how I'm going to make use it into the panel actions. The documentation of the same will be shared by my co-trainers into the chat. So we do have used in the panel actions, which will be added over here, right? In the same way, I do have another href syntax as well. This can be used in the same manner. As I said, it can be used for pop-up, embed the container, for the iframe, and this is the syntax that is going to be used. So you don't have to remember all of these things. As I said, the documentation will be available for you in the chat. You can make use of that documentation. I'll show it to your presentation, then you'll understand how the same can be incorporated. So you can open it in the embed container. This is the syntax, and using the open form action to open a form or a report, it will be displayed in the HTML snippet container. I'll show it to you how the same can be done. Let me just simply get into the demonstration of it. Now this is how I'll be doing it. Just give me a moment. I'll just go back over here, and now let's say I do have this report, right? And I want to show this report in my dashboard, but this time what I'm trying to do is I want to make use of it. I can make use of this dashboard, and when I click on a specific button or the specific option which is available over there, my report will get refreshed. I don't have to go ahead and refresh the complete page altogether, because refreshing is going to take you to the different page altogether, coming back or probably redirecting a different URL as well. In order to avoid that kind of a situation, all I have to do is make use of this feature. Let me show it to you how the same can be done. I'll get into the edit mode of this application. Yeah, over here I'll go ahead and make use of a page, and I'm going to make use of dashboard page. So let's say this is to uh, load the reports. That's what I'm going to make use of, and I'll simply click on create. Now first thing first, I'll add a panel over here. Now once I'm trying to add a panel, just simply drag and drop it. I don't need this element. I'll simply delete this element from the bottom. I'll say yep, I don't need that, and I'll try to name this specific uh, displayed static text, and I'll just put it as, let's say, this is to load the report, and this is going to load the report of which form. So we do have office product complaint and the office product complaint report as well. So I'll just allow this. This is my report. One thing, I'll just try to open the same over here, and I'll try to put it in the edit mode as well. Why? Because I'm going to make use of a report link name. So for that, I need to go to my open report properties. So over here I'll simply click on open report properties. On to the right side, we do have this three dots. I'll click over here and I'll simply click on rename. Once I click on rename, I do have the report title and the report link name which has been available over here. So I can simply use the report link name. Now I'll go back and then I'll add an action to it. What kind of an action? It should open a URL, and it should open it in the same window. Now what is the URL that I'm going to type it over here? So this will be similar to the one that we have seen in the presentation. So I'll say report, then I'll put a colon over there, and then I'll type the name of the report, which the report link name, and then along with that I'll try to put a question mark. I'll say ZC, when then my parameter, which is ZC load in. I'll try to zoom it a bit so that you can see that. So ZC load in, and I'm going to add a variable over there. I'm going to say embed, and this is the variable that I'm going to add it over here. I'll show it to you where I'm going to add it. So I'll say embed dev. This is the name of the variable which I'm going to use. So I'll just zoom out, and this should be saved. We should get a message there at the top. Yes, this has been saved, and simply click on close. Now all I have to do is get into the snippets, and I'll use the HTML snippet. Now here's an interesting thing that needs to be taken care of. We do have an option to embed a form. We have an option to embed a report. Even we have an also we have an option to add a widget as well. So what all I can do is, let's say we are taking care of the form right now. So I'll just drag and drop the report element. Now over here, I'll try to make the changes. Let's say the variable name that we try to add, I'll try to give the variable name over here as well in the same way. So I'll say name equals to, then the name of the variable which I tried to add, which was embed, right? That was embed dev, which I tried to give it over there as well, and view the link name. Now over here, instead of the string, I have to make the changes, and I'll put it over here with office product complaints report. So that has now been added. By saying that, I should click on save, and it should give me the option that this has been done in green at the top over here. That should show as saved. Let's wait for a couple of seconds. This is not done, so I'll try to refresh the page. Let's wait for a couple of few more seconds. If that's not done, then we'll try to refresh the page once again. Okay. All right, so let's refresh the page. All right, so I'll try to get into the snippets again, and I'll open the HTML snippet, and I'll try to make the changes again. Let's say I put it over here. Oops, just delete it. I'll say report over here, and let's try to do the same thing. So I've tried to add name equals to the variable which I've added over there. Simply I'll type embed dev, and the changes into the string, I'll add the name of the report, right? And I'll simply click on save. Yes, now this gave me the option immediately that this has been saved. Let's simply click on done, and we'll try to load the report. So we'll try to refresh the page. When I try to refresh the page, I do have load the report. So I'll load this report, right? So I can click on it every time. Now, every time this happens, you can see the report has now been loaded automatically. I don't have to go back. So this is how I can make the changes, and it will be done automatically. So I don't have to refresh the page every time to do it. All I have to do is just simply click on load it. Similarly, I tried to do it in the same before as well. I can simply click on open the report, and now you can see this is working fine without any error, right? So coming back to the presentation once again, so we have discussed about this. Now last but not the least, we do have another option, which is AI model assistance to create an applications specifically from a file. Let's say I do have a spreadsheet. While trying to add that spreadsheet over there, whatever data is there in my spreadsheet, it will be added as a different form, and before even I create the form, I will have an option to restructure the data or restructure the table under the data section. So you'll then be shown a specific list of suggestions to choose the most suitable options, and if needed, if you want to make any changes, you can do that. What how you are going to get benefit out of it? Of course, this will help you to bring your disorganized data into different segments, because you will have an option to use the AI feature, where the Zia option will kick in, and automatically whatever changes that you want to make in it, it will start reflecting over there. So I'll show it to you without wasting the time. I'll just get into the demo. So I'll go over here, and all I have to do is I'm trying to create a different form altogether, right? So I'll just close all these things. Let me close this. I'll click on done. Now I have an option. I'll click on the plus icon, and I'll create a form. This time, while creating the form, I'm going to import it with the data. I'll simply click on import it with the data, and let's say I'll go with the local storage, and I do have some sales data that I'm going to use. I'll simply click on open. Now, once I simply click on open, the data is going to be added over here. Now, what's the important thing that we need to notice? This restructure table option, which is now recently been introduced next to the refined data. Now, what this will do is, let me just minimize the page a bit, and I'll simply click on restructure the data. I can proceed to restructure. Once I click on proceed to restructure, we do have multiple pages that can be created, sorry, multiple forms that can be created out of it, wherein a lookup can be created with the help of this. If I don't want, I can simply delete them. I can get them back. Let's say in this case, I'm going to create sales data out of it. So I'll just remove this table 2 from here. In the same way, I'll say that this table 3 is not needed. I'm going to create my sales data from here. So I'll just delete it, right? Table 4, I have the complete control of it. I can make the changes from here itself. And then I'll just get into this table 6. This has also been done. Now I can always go back to the original form, or I can go with the suggested one, and then I can click on restructure. Once this restructure will be done, the table has been split into 6 separate tables. I can simply click on create. Once I click on create, I will get my options being, or my forms will be created over here automatically. And it'll just take a couple of seconds to create the form. We'll just wait for it. Yes, this has been added. All the reports has been included. This has been imported successfully. Now I'll just try to open it. So as you can see, my sales data, multiple sales data report has been created over here, and this started showing up without any error, right? So this is how I can make use of my restructure option, which is available, which is again an added feature in the Zoho Creator. Now let's go ahead and see what are the key takeaways from the session, we talked about augmenting the subform capabilities. It has two different options to view, both the list view as well as the grid view. Second is enhancement to the portal, wherein you can get the OTP and the Apple login enabled. Importing the reports via permalink, a report can be embedded, or where I can go ahead and embed the report or import the report using the permalink by using the link and embedding it to a button. And dynamically embedded page components, without refreshing the page itself, we can go and get the data loaded in the page. And AI model assistance, where I do have this new option which has been added over there before even creating the application. Now, let me just show it to you what all things are planned for the rest of the year. So you need to stay tuned. These all options are coming. Yes, these are in the pipeline and on the way. We do have Canvas Builder, advanced email analytics, user engagement dashboard, application engagement, huge CSV files now that can be imported, and the portal session timeout, phone number login for portal options, portal page customization, application menu, and last but not the least, revamping the deluge editor as well. Now, in order to go through such kind of sessions and in order to get such detailed view of all the features and all, we would request you to please do register. We do have two sessions. The one which you are going through right now is a Tech Connect series, and apart from that, you can see in blue over there is a learning table series. So this year we have started you implementing 12 months, 12 industries. So every month we are trying to use some use case over there. And the next month, for on the 8th of June, we do have creator for NGO. You can register the link. The registration link will be shared by my co-trainers in the chat. And for the Creator Tech Connect series, next time we'll see again with the Deluge and the cloud functions in Zoho Creator. Until then, please do register the link. And yes, if you have any questions right now, we would request you to please post your questions into the questions tab. I'll just put myself on mute for a couple of minutes, and that's all from my side. We'll wait to answer all the questions, then we'll be ending the session. Thank you once again. Thank you everyone for the participation. Please stay connected in case if you have any questions. I'll just put myself on mute. Thank you. Thank you everyone for your active participation. So we'll be closing the session now. We'll come up with the upcoming updates and everything with the newly added features. So we'll see you next month. I hope you all have registered with it. So thank you once again. I'm just going to close the session now.